This is what's going on in the 2015 regular session right now. There's been over 1,000 bills filed. It's hard to believe that many laws need to be changed, and that nevertheless, there's been over 1,000 bills filed. DOTD is tracking about 60 of these bills. 12 of them are bridge and road naming bills. They'll name them after people or veterans or something like that, you know, a bridge or a roadway. 3 of them deal with property issues, but 16 of them have to do with funding. And I don't want to go, I have all the different funding bills on the next few slides, but I've highlighted a few of them which I think are most important for us. But if you add the 12 and the 16 and 3, that's half of the 60 that we're tracking. The rest are a variety of different things, traffic laws and things like that that people are proposing to modify. Let me just not, these deal with ways to generate money for the state, for this DOT. There's been a lot of money going to state police, and there's an attempt to pull some of it back to transportation. Walt Leger has a temporary increase of the gas tax, but only for 3 years. I think it's a stopgap measure until the state revenues improve. The 2 in green here, I think, are very important to what we've been discussing today. HB 615 by Representative Stokes is a constitutional amendment to authorize local governments to tax fuel as a sales tax. And right now, sales taxes on fuel is prohibited in the state constitution for either the state or local governments. And local governments are prohibited from even levying an excise tax, a per gallon tax. They're not allowed to do that either. This would change and change the Constitution, which has to go up for a statewide vote, but what it would allow is local governments to apply a portion or all of their local sales tax to the sale of fuel in their jurisdiction. So it would be, sales tax would be applied just like it would be on any other commodity. It would have to be tracked separately because the proceeds then go for transportation improvements. But that is a huge, this is the first time I've ever seen a bill come out that proposed to do this. Now how far it'll get, I don't know, but at least somebody had the courage to put it out there. And you know, we have discussed that on numerous occasions in the department about whether local government should have the right to do that. There's been mixed opinions. Some people felt like, well, if local governments have it, then the state will never get an increase, and because once they have theirs, then they will vote against any statewide increase. And you know, I think most of us believe that it would be a good thing for local governments to be able to put things out before their voters, and people who live in areas who want good infrastructure and are willing to pay for it can have it. And the people who are not willing to pay for it, they just need to be used to what they have. So anyway, but that's out there. Something similar to that is by Representative Connick. It's a constitutional amendment which would also allow local governments to put a sales tax on fuel, but you would have to use the proceeds on state highways in that particular jurisdiction. So if you really wanted to make some major improvements to state highways in your jurisdiction, you could then put a sales tax on fuel at the local level. Representative Robideau's bill is very similar to Representative Stokes' bill in that it's a constitutional amendment, but it wouldn't allow a sales tax. It would simply allow local governments to put an excise tax on fuel that's sold in their area. So if they wanted to go out before, say some parish president had all the mayors lined up in his parish, and they all wanted to go out and say, folks, look, we think we need to put a 5-cent per gallon tax on fuel that's sold in, you know, our particular parish, and we're going to use that for infrastructure improvements in this parish, and we hope you will support it. That's what this would allow. And they could make it for 10 years or 20 years or forever, however they want to do it. A lot of local taxes have a time limit on them, and they have to be renewed periodically. But that's what this would allow. So it's very similar to Representative Stokes' bill. Let me see if they have any other ones. Senator Adley, has a bill, Senate Bill 221, and when I talked about the money that would go for expanding the off-system bridge program and this local road rehabilitation program and the rural transit program, it's all dependent upon DOTD receiving the state sales tax on new and used vehicles, which has been dedicated to transportation. In 2008, it was dedicated, but it's subject to a threshold in the state general fund. And we project that threshold to be reached in the year, fiscal year 2020, which would start on July 1st, 2019. And what Senator Adley's bill would do would be accelerate that, take that threshold provision off and start phasing this in almost immediately and start that money coming to transportation. Now, whether this will go anywhere given the state's budget problems at the moment, I don't know. It's being held in the Senate Finance Committee right now. It was discussed yesterday. They didn't kill it. They didn't pass it. They just put it on hold temporarily, and they'll debate it at some point in the future. But that particular bill would provide about $400 million more per year for the state to do transportation projects. And some of that would go to local governments per the programs that I talked about. We would be able to do a much better job, obviously, with state transportation assets. Some of it goes to, a significant amount of it goes to ports in Louisiana, which are important to the economy here. So, but anyway, that's where that stands, and I think that's it.